Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. In this video, we're going to look at all the logistics that went into the planning for this adventure that I'm about to set off on. So that might not be the most interesting thing you would think, but it's absolutely mandatory that I went through all this stuff to make sure that I'm ready when I get over there. So it boils down to pretty much four main categories. So there's the route planning, visas and considerations for countries and borders, language, and then money. Looking at the first one of route planning, the way I started was I kind of picked a target distance in mind, and there was a certain amount that I needed to beat the record, but then I kind of fell in love with 20,000 kilometers. I just thought it was a cool round number. It was very lofty, and if I could do that, I would be happy. So I arrived on that number, but the way I started was I just took out Google Maps and just started drawing straight lines between cities, major cities, and then just seeing distance-wise how close that came to 20,000 kilometers. And then from there, I slowly just started piecing a route together and actually getting into Google Maps and planning the actual turn-by-turn navigation to see the total kilometers that it came out to. And it fluctuated. I went over 20,000, kind of brought it back down under, and then arrived in about the 20,000 mark. Another consideration I had for the route planning, though, was to try to link together some other bucket list items that I wanted to achieve while I was over there. So there's La Tomatina, the big tomato throwing festival in Spain, trying to crush grapes with my feet to make wine in France, going to Athens, and a few other ones in there. So the route started kind of getting molded around these other bucket list items that I wanted to do. One of the other tasks that I wanted to achieve with the route planning is to just collect as many countries as I could along the way. So I looked at how many countries were in mainland Europe and which ones I could get to, and I worked out that I could connect 40 different countries together. This is including micro-countries and micro-states within Europe to just ultimately bring that whole route plan together in this massive 20,000 kilometer, 40 country adventure. So the next one we'll talk about is visas. So being Canadian, having that Canadian passport is absolute gold when trying to travel in Europe. So of those 40 countries, I actually don't need a visa to any of them. But the problem that I found when I was going through the route planning is what's called the Schengen region. So in Europe, there are more than 40 countries that form Europe. But then there's this sub part of Europe that's called the Schengen area or the Schengen region. And that's a mashup of 29 different countries scattered throughout the region. And they essentially act as one country as far as border control goes. And the way that works is you can only spend 90 days in a 180-day period in that Schengen region. So you could be in multiple different countries, but that Schengen clock is always ticking up if you're in a Schengen country. However, when you leave a Schengen country and you go to a non-Schengen country, that 90-day clock stops. So I strategically had to plan my route through Europe so that I could get into these non-Schengen countries. And I actually use them like safe havens. So when I get in there, the clock stops. So I could be in there for 10 days, but all the while that Schengen clock isn't adding up. And I have to use that to make sure that I don't go over that limit while I'm over there. Because the ride's only going to take me about 90 days, but I'll be in Europe for over 100. So if I didn't use these countries, I could get into some trouble with Border Patrol. The third one is language. So I only know one language, being English. I know a bit of Spanish, enough to get by. But as far as all the other languages in Europe, I wouldn't have a clue about them. So this became a bit of a problem when I was planning this adventure of how I was going to communicate with these people. So what I landed on was actually a book. I made and laminated a book which basically says, "Hi, I'm Dave. I'm a Canadian adventurer. I'm doing this journey on this scooter, and I need you to be a witness to sign to say where I was at what time and all their details and everything like that." So I made that in English, and then I made it in the 36 different languages that I would potentially come across in Europe. And I've just got that. I actually wear it just as a little book around my neck. So then when I go in and interact with someone, I can just undo my jacket, pull out this book, flip it over to Finnish or wherever I am, and basically just hand it to them and say, can you do this for me? and then they can read it and they can decide whether they want to help me or not. And if so, then I can give them my witness book for them to sign. But that's one hurdle that I just had to overcome through one way or another, and the book was definitely a way that I solved that problem, as well as Google Translate. So I've got that app on my phone. I've got all the languages downloaded so I can use them at any time. And I will rely on that heavily when I'm over there, just to communicate with people day to day, even if it's not getting a witness or a signature. So that's going to be invaluable when I'm over there. The last category that I put a lot of thought into was money. Over in Europe, you've got the euro, and that forms what most countries use. But there's also 17 countries that I'll be going through that have their own currency. So I need to understand whether I needed to buy some of their currency, whether they allowed credit cards or they're mainly a cash society. And I answered all these questions for each country pretty early on just to see what it was. Overall, I'll get by pretty well with the euro and having some euro cash in my pocket. Other than that, I'll just be using my credit card as per normal when I travel. So none of that's really too crazy. There are a couple other considerations that I had for money. One of them was just keeping cash on myself and how I use that, where I keep it. And what I kind of thought is, I'm going to stick out like a sore thumb on a bike like this with saddlebags and stickers and everything like that. So I thought I might become a bit of a target to be mugged, or who knows. And one of the things I decided to do was actually carry a fake wallet in my pocket. So that'll be loaded with expired credit cards and an expired ID and maybe a bit of cash in there. So if someone tries to mug me, I can just hand that over and try to get away as quick as I can. And maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but you got to have these plans, or else you don't know what to do when the situation comes up. So that's one that I've come up with. Hopefully I never have to use it, but we shall see. That covers most of the logistics and planning that I've put into this trip so far. And there's still going to be a bit more before I take off, but that covers most of it. Now keep in mind, this is just covering it at a very surface level. I've gone into the details on all these categories so much over the past 12 months, but I'm hoping to just share a bit with you guys here so you can get an idea of what I've been working on for this time. But hey, I'd love to hear from you, so if there's something you think I might have missed, or you got some other considerations I haven't thought of, chuck it in the comments. I'll read it. I'll definitely adjust my plans, and I just want to hear from you guys. That's it for now, though, so check out the website in the description. Hit those tracking links. Follow along when I'm over there in June, and let's do this. Can't wait, guys. See you later.